Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Widow podcast. It's lovely to have you here again. And this week, I am really excited to introduce you to a lovely man, John Webb, who is the founder of Embark, which is a support for widow and widowers, offering holidays and events on a not-for-profit basis. And I don't know how we stumbled across each other, John. I think it was through social media, wasn't it, of some sort?
Yes, I think it was. That's
yes.
right.
And I just loved, what John does, what he offers, and I think it's really inspiring. And I wanted to share a bit of his story to help you see that there are options out there, there are ways, and there's things that you can do and take part in that will help you grow and experience new things, increasing your confidence and your self-esteem and meeting new people. And I wanted John to come and explain a little bit about what he does and why he does it. So John, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Karen.
So you've just got back from 2 weeks in Portugal, haven't you, on a lovely holiday?
Yes, we took a group out to Portugal, as we do every year, well, except last year, of course. And of course, in January, the weather, bright sunshine during the day and temperatures around 17 degrees. So I'm normally in t-shirts and shorts. And we really just have a fantastic time. We stayed at a lovely hotel and we go out and just enjoy the Algarve. And this year there should have been 20 of us. There ended up being 15. But the good thing about that, of course, is that for us is that we have seen a real uptake in membership since October. It really remained static throughout COVID. And now it looks like, people are more confident at getting out. They want to meet people. And widowers are now joining. We've gone from about 180 members in October to 300. And, our goal over 5 years was for 500 members. So I think that's easily going to be achievable. But I mean, how I set up Embark I became a widow in 2013. And very quickly realized just how expensive it was going on holiday on your own with these, single person supplements. And I just thought there had to be a better way of doing this, to be honest. And, as was normally the case whilst I was married, I would say something I would later regret, although this time I haven't. I said to a group, would anybody like to go on a walking holiday to Cyprus? And about 26 people said, yeah, we'll do that. All widows and widowers. And booking the hotel and the flights weren't a problem because I used a travel agent at the time. But it was getting someone to lead the walks in Cyprus. And I thought all I had to do was go online and book someone. And they were wanting £700 per person, Karen, for these walks.
Just for the walks, not for the travel or the accommodation?
That included the walks, it included the coach, it included lunch.
Okay.
And I thought, that's how much the holiday is costing.
Wow.
And so after about 2 weeks, I came across a walking club in Cyprus, expats, British expats. So I got in touch with them. And I said, would you do some walks for us? And came back and said, absolutely love to. We rarely see people from Britain, from the UK. So we'd love to work with your group. So they actually did the week of walks, didn't charge us a penny for. And they said, this is the bus company we use for our travel. Suggest you use them. And for the whole week, it was €230 for the bus.
Wow.
So our walk went from £700 per person to €230 for 23 people. Now, everybody had to buy their own lunch, and they were happy to do that.
Yeah.
And that, Karen, I just thought, I can do this. I can do very cheap holidays for widows and widowers who I could see were getting an awful lot out of the holiday, meeting people. So eventually that is how Embark 2 started. And I started doing more holidays, really just cutting out the travel agent. And that's when I found out that the single person supplements actually don't exist. They're just not there. And that really is what we do. We just, whatever we are charged, that's what we charge the member. We do add a little bit for the admin to run the site. But if I can give an example, we had this holiday to Portugal, we charged $395 for this holiday to Portugal. But you could go on to other sites and book the same hotel. But the cheapest we got for the hotel, same room, was £601. But we know that price, because we watched the prices, for the same room had actually been £1,500.
Wow.
As it goes up in time. So we were offering a hotel stay for $395. That the cheapest we could find online was $601. So that's what we do. We simply cut out their profit.
So you're contacting the hotel directly?
Yes, but every one of our holidays, whether it's abroad or in the UK, we do what we call a recce. Mm-hmm. We just make sure it is suitable for our members. So if it's a walking holiday, we have to do the walks first. So we risk assess, we check out the accommodation. So we make sure that when our members book the holiday, they're not just going to have a good time and we've got enough activities, but also that, the accommodation we provide for them is comfortable and the food is nice. And of course, they're not paying a premium for it. In addition to that, sorry, Karen.
No, go on, no, carry on.
In addition to that, of course, you then have a group of widows and widowers coming from all parts of the UK. And one of the real advantages and one of the plus things I think of Embark 2 is that we can see throughout the couple of years we've been running the holidays is that we can have widowers coming from Scotland, widowers coming from London, and they now have lasting friendships. And that I think is the good time. I myself have made friendships throughout the country. So I think that is one of the bonuses that we actually didn't foresee, that I didn't foresee when I was thinking, well, what are the benefits of Embark 2? I'd never thought of that people do form relationships, friendships, and they keep in touch with each other. And what is good, we have an annual holiday to Keswick. And it's great just seeing these people coming back as if they're long lost friends. And it's just fantastic to see.
Because where are you based then, John?
Well, I personally am based in Newcastle.
Okay, so when you started out, and you say you had your 25 kind of, the group of you that were, I assume, were based in Newcastle, that you met, that were widows and widowers. Was that your kind of premise initially, that it would be for local people to get together to go on holiday, but it's kind of expanded beyond that?
Yes, it has. And you mentioned before social media. I'll tell you a story about social media, and it is to do with this holiday to Portugal. I spoke to my sister the other day, and she got a call from her sister-in-law, who is also a widow. And she said, "Quick, I've sent you a photograph. It's been taken in Portugal. Is that your brother in the background?"
Yeah.
So that's
the power of social media.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're right, but and this is why I do what I do as well, because I think there's such power, isn't there, in bringing people together that are going through something similar, because it's widowhood's a very lonely, isolating place, isn't it? And I think, people are wonderful and family and friends do so much for us, but unless they've lost a life partner, they don't understand the impact it has on our lives. And that's not through any fault of their own. Thank God they don't understand, because it's awful. But to be with people that there's just this silent understanding of where you are and what you're going through and how you feel, it brings so much comfort, doesn't it? So much.
I think that's right. And I think that's a good phrase there, the silent understanding. I know exactly what you mean, because I can see it amongst our group.
Yeah.
That we don't have to say we understand, we just know we understand. And I think that's exactly right. And I think that is the power of the group, that we are all there, we're all supporting each other. And we have people who have been recently bereaved and people who've been bereaved, you know, for longer, but they all have something to contribute, they all have something to add, and they can all support each other.
Yeah, because they do. And I know exactly what you mean, because when I bring people together in groups and they're in different stages of their journey, there's always that, oh, well, what if someone's ahead of me, and what if someone's behind me? And it's like everyone has got something to offer, because we all come at it from a different angle, don't we? We grieve in our own unique ways, but we've all got something to share, to give, a different viewpoint and experience that invites you to kind of explore your own grief and what you're going through, but also share some of your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, and that gives you a feel-good factor, doesn't it, knowing that you're helping someone else?
Well, it does, Karen, because when we, you know, on an evening when we're all eventually together, you know, I can see that, I can hear the conversations, and maybe I'm part of the conversation, but I can see that, you know, this person from Manchester is talking to this person from London, who, if they had not have come on that holiday, they would never have met. But here they are, didn't know each other 2 days ago, and they're supporting each other through their own different stage of grief.
Yeah. And it is magic. There is something magical about it, and you can see it, can't you? That almost that relief that you see in people's bodies of just being able to openly talk about it. You know, I did my event last year when it's the first time I've brought people together in person. So you've probably seen this a lot more than I have, because a lot of my stuff's online. But seeing a room full of people being able to openly talk about their experience, their person, without feeling like you're being a burden, without feeling like you're being miserable, or people are judging you or thinking, oh gosh, she's talking about that again, or she's being miserable, and it always comes back, you know. And it's like, it's that invitation to be open about everything, and share your feelings, your thoughts, stories about your loved one. And everyone is kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Invested in that, aren't they? And interested, and they want to share. And you can just almost see people's shoulders dropping, and them breathing and thinking, oh, you know, this just feels good.
I mean, some probably, you know, some of our members probably talk more about their grief when they're on our events than they do when they are back home. But I think you're absolutely right. I think, and I was just thinking about this morning, that when I lost Joyce, I had a lot of friends who were married, and it suddenly occurred to me this morning that whilst they didn't particularly keep in touch with me, I realized this morning that actually I didn't keep in touch with them. And my view, you know, why didn't I do that? And you're right, it's because I didn't want to burden them. But having a group like this where you can come and just unburden.
Yes.
And, you know, because it's very difficult when you're in your own home environment and you know how things spiral out of control in your head. When you're in a group and you can talk about this, and someone's probably already been through it, you know, you can have a reasoned discussion and, you know, realize, you know, there is an outcome. If there is an outcome, if there is an outcome, there is a way forward, and I will come out at the end. But it's, I mean, one thing about our group, initially when I set up the group, the holidays were more focused on activities, walking holidays, and walking holidays was, for me, great, because as you're walking in a group, you may be talking to one person, but then 20 minutes later, just the natural way you walk, you're talking to someone else, and it was great. And but through those activity holidays, I could see people, our members, you know, building in their own confidence, that seeing life could have, you know, they could have a happy life, and life could be happy. And you know, I mentioned earlier to you that on one group, I really didn't think that these were activities that my group would go for. And I just happened to say, anyone fancy kayaking or climbing? And straight away, yeah, let's do that. And that took me back. So I arranged for the kayaking. I arranged for the indoor climbing, which was on ropes. And talk about the climbing. We had quite, well, actually, I wish I had this video, but we had a race, me and another chap called John. We had a race to the top, and I won, but he argues that the roof was slanted like that, and I was down there and he was up there. That was his argument. But it was just great. But after that, some of the ladies in the group came to me to say, I never thought in a million years I'd do something like that. It was great. And it was just, the confidence building, the growing in it, the self-esteem. But the kayaking is the one that has taken me mostly by surprise, because that is now a regular feature. We have members who just love kayaking, and we have a holiday in Newcastle every year, and it involves kayaking in the North Sea.
Wow.
Again, but I should add, Karen, that we have qualified instructors on everything, so we organise that. But I simply assumed that the people who would be going kayaking in the North Sea would be the ones who kayaked with me in the Lake District, but no, not at all. Some other people came out and they kayaked for the very first time in the North Sea. And I just thought, I wouldn't do that. No. I wouldn't have the confidence to do that. And they came out and they, absolutely had a fantastic time.
Oh, that's magic.
And that really is what Embark 2 is about. It's about, yes, providing holidays at an affordable rate, but it's the support you get within that holiday. It's the support from the members. It is the activities that we offer, which you can take part in. You don't need to take part in, but it's really, if you like, pushing the envelope, so that our members, our widows and widowers, can actually I can't do that. Because as you know, Karen, when you lose your partner, all your confidence has just gone. I can remember that. At home, if a light bulb went, I would change it. That was me. That was my job. But I can remember when a light bulb went in a lamp in the house. Now, back in the old days when, Joyce was around, we would have spare lamps, and I didn't have a spare lamp, and I just broke down because I couldn't fix it. So it's simple. It's, simple things like that. And it's just providing confidence and, so that we can tackle things when we come up against an obstacle, or, in our daily lives as a widow or widower. I hope that some of the support and some of our activities have built confidence and self-resilience enough that we can deal with that perhaps a little bit more. So that's what I hope our members get out of it, as well as, of course, the friendships they make throughout the UK. And, like I say, it is absolutely fantastic when, we have a holiday, people come together, and maybe the last time they've seen people is on the last holiday 6 months ago, and it's just great. It's like old friends coming back together.
Absolutely.
And on this recent Portugal holiday, I would say a third of the members was the very first holiday and the very first time they had met anybody else. So that obviously was a concern, because I wanted to make sure that we all gelled. And, like I say, things go through your mind if you're on your own. And within hours of everyone landing and getting together, it was, what was I worried about? But I think it's the term you mentioned before, that silent understanding. We just know. We just know why we're there.
It's that hidden connection, isn't it? It's very powerful. And I think you know, it is through our connections with others that we find our way. You know, we cannot heal on our own. We cannot find our way in solitude, and it's very easy for us to withdraw, because exactly to your point, you know, our confidence, our self-esteem is shattered, isn't it? There's suddenly this vulnerability, this feeling very exposed, because what we knew in the world has been taken from us, and we don't understand it anymore. And it's those questions: where do I fit in? What do I do now? How am I going to do this by myself? And they're huge. And all of a sudden, it's that feeling of powerlessness. I can't do this. I don't know where I belong. My life is over. My best days are behind me. You know, all these stories that we tell ourselves. And actually, when we are brave enough, and how brave is it? You know, like you've just said, there were 5 people that had booked up for 2 weeks in Portugal with a bunch of people they didn't know. That is just amazing. And I just want to hug people that do that, because you know it's not easy. You know, it's not like they are born with this confidence where they're like, oh, I'll do that, it's fine, it's easy, I have no apprehension, I have no nerves or anxiety about it. Of course they do. It's huge putting yourself out there into these situations that you don't know how it's going to go, but you're brave enough to do it. And in that courage that you kind of find within you, and you take those steps and do something that you didn't believe you were probably capable of, you discover so much about yourself, don't you? And you grow. And, you know, you were telling me about the story of the kayaking, and one of the ladies, did she say to you, I would never have done that if my husband hadn't died?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's that discovery of yourself and what you're capable of, because, you know, when we're married, we get into a life cycle. We have a routine and a structure, and, you know, sometimes we might step out of that, we might go and do something a bit brave, but generally you kind of do the things that you've always done.
Yes, that's
because
right.
You're comfortable in it. You
stay within your envelope.
Yes. That's it. And understandably, and we all do it, and stepping out of that and stretching that is really uncomfortable. But when we do, and we see that actually we are capable of so much more than we ever dreamed of, you know, that is huge for our confidence and our self-esteem. And then that makes us want to try new things, doesn't it? And push ourselves a little bit further, because that feeling, that growth, that understanding, that self-discovery is, I think, so powerful. And quite addictive almost, like, oh, what can I do now? You know, the kayaking, the climbing walls with ropes and jumping into the North Sea, like, oh, you know, that's scary. And especially with people you don't always know. I know some of them are returning, aren't they, and coming back from old groups.
There are always people who we've never met.
And that as well can be scary, because you think, oh, they all know each other, how am I going to fit in? You know, is this going to be okay? But people are so kind, aren't they? People are so kind.
I think that's exactly right, Karen, because there were 2 members who had booked on the holiday were aware that there was going to be a section who had been on the previous Portugal holiday, and we have a helpline number, and so that was constantly going by 2 of our members, just really wanting some support, really just want some reassurance that, you know, it was, if you like, that the decision they had made to come on the holiday was the right one for them. And I think that is one of the other things we have the support line. But yes, you're right, people do think exactly that. Have I made the right decision? I'm going to meet people I haven't met before, but they are going to be with people that they have. And you know, but it's strange. I'm going to use what you said, the term you said just a few moments ago, that the silent knowing. You know, they just come into the group, and it's like telepathy. You know, we just all know where we are. We all know why we're here. And that's what makes our group, I think, so supportive.
So tell me, you obviously you reach new people, and new people come, and as we've touched on, there's a nervousness, there's an apprehension of, oh, I don't think I can do this, I'm on my own, I don't know anywhere. You know, we all have it, don't we? You know, when you put yourself into these situations, what do you say to people to kind of reassure them that it will be okay and they will be okay? And B, what do you think it is within us, in our journeys, that drives us to push ourselves and you know, step into these uncomfortable situations? Do you think it's that desire to want more, to live again? What is it, do you think, that you've noticed through your experience?
Well, I think firstly on sort of how we encourage and what we offer, we offer support, and it's really our ethos. Our ethos is that we are all there for each other. You know, that we're there to support each other. We're there because we all have suffered a common loss. We have lost our partners. So, you know, from that ethos, you know, we let our members know that really from the support that they will get the support they need from the membership. In fact, most of the support actually comes from the membership. The types of activities we do, we also, you know, spell out that there is absolutely no pressure at all to be with the group. Many years ago in Portugal, we had a chap came along. He was very, very newly bereaved. So everything was raw. What he didn't like was going home on a night time and having dinner on his own. So he came along to Portugal. We had the chat beforehand. He was quite comfortable not being with the group during the day, but he wanted to be with them at the evening meal. And that was great. Everyone accepted that. But what was really good, we were in Faro one day and sitting in a coffee shop. And he walked past, he was on his walk, and he came over and just sat with us. And from that moment on, he just grew within the group. So he went from, look, I want to come, but I only want to have evening meal, to eventually he joined in the group. So I think, you know, what do we offer? Yeah, no one is forced to take part in anything, because we are all not just at different stages of our grief, but of course we deal with that differently as well. And I think we have to understand that. And as far as we can, we accommodate that. And I think that probably one example of how we accommodate it, because even though he was with us on the evening meal, we were still supporting him, and that's what we're all about. And by the end of the holiday, you know, he was not just on the evening meal. It would be evening meal, by the way, Karen, and then he'd go to his room. By the end of the holiday, you know, he spotted us at a coffee shop, came and sat with us. By the end of the holiday, he would still come down and have his evening meal, but he stayed with us, you know, during the evening. So, you know, as to developing, you know, growing in confidence and developing and moving through your own stage of grief, we were supporting him because he was like that outside. He didn't want to have contact with anyone. So he basically cut himself off. He was someone who loved walking. That's what he did. But at least after the holiday, he actually said to us, he now realizes that he can be in a group. He can join, you know, his friends on walks, and he now understands that he can do that. But it is treating people as individuals, because whilst we're all going through grief, as you know, all grief is different.
It is.
And that's how we look at it.
And I think what's lovely about that as well, and I don't mean to generalize here, because I know we're all different, but I think there is a distinct difference in how men and women grieve.
Yes.
Women will reach out for connection a lot more and help and support and have a deeper desire maybe to share what's going on for them. Men, I think, as you've touched on just there, sometimes they can withdraw. They don't always feel comfortable talking to others or showing emotion or sharing what's going on for them, and that's not a criticism or a judgment. I get it, and I think offering that space where you can kind of say to somebody, come and join us. You don't have to partake in all of this stuff. Your time is your own. We're here if you want us. And watching somebody slowly transition from being quite withdrawn, not quite knowing how to navigate it, and just turning up where they're comfortable, probably pushing themselves a bit. But, like I always say, you've got your comfort zone, your stretch zone, your panic zone. And it's kind of, you don't want to jump out your comfort zone into your panic zone, do you? It's like and then when you go into your stretch zone, that becomes more comfortable. Your circle of comfort grows, and then you're able to step into your panic zone. But of course, then it's not so much of a stretch. But and watching somebody slowly take those steps and keep going and keep pushing and actually going, this is uncomfortable, but actually I can feel that I'm getting something from it. It's providing me with something that maybe I didn't realize I needed, or I didn't know would help me as much as it is. And to keep kind of making those connections and pushing themselves that little bit further. And for you to see that happening must be amazing, and you must see it a lot on individual holidays, like you just said, at the beginning, at the end, and seeing how somebody kind of grows. But also, if you have returning clients, I don't know how you would refer to people, but that come on a holiday and then come back the following year, and the following year, and watching that person grow and explore themselves and discover who they are and get the answers to the questions that takes a long time to get to. That must be a lovely feeling for you, John, to witness that.
It is. And in fact, I had this conversation with the group maybe a couple of years ago. Our very first Keswick holiday, which I was very naive, we hire a self-catering centre. And I would say we were all like rabbits in headlights, if you like. And if I'm honest, Karen, so was I. Yeah. On our very first Keswick holiday, I remember someone talking to me about Joyce. And I remember thinking, I don't want to talk about this because it was still too painful. So that's what I mean. We're maybe a little too naive, but that's where we were. That's where we all were, rabbits in headlights. And it was a good few years later that I was just sitting in the accommodation and seeing people who had been on that first holiday and on that first holiday, and I could just see how much they had grown from the rabbit in the headlight to being actually confident and out there. And I just thought, that's brilliant to see that. But also it said to myself, I've probably come that far as well, because you don't know it really. You don't know. Or there's perhaps not understanding. But yes, and now we've gone from having a couple of people help with what was before Embark to what is now Embark to. We now have 8 people on board who in their own way help with either admin or help with holidays, so that the management of the group is now growing, so we've got more ideas, but even that, I think, is for people who have lost a partner to be able to take on that responsibility, to be able to take on that role. And because they themselves are helping other widows and other widowers who've probably just lost their partner or coping with the loss. And it's about, coming together to support each other.
That's so wonderful. And even for you in your journey, John, we talk a lot about sort of finding meaning after someone has died, a loved one's died, and that's not finding a reason for their death. That's it's about what we do with our lives after they've died, and finding meaning in our own lives. And I think you have just created a beautiful example of how somebody can do that, you know, for you. And it's such a wonderful way really to honor Joyce and her life and your experience, but also your life.
Yeah. Well, that's hitting the nail on the head, Karen. You know, Embark 2 for me is how I make sense of my loss.
Yeah.
You know, I just felt that, you know, that loss, you know, that loss just couldn't happen without a positive thing coming out of it. You know, otherwise, what was the point? So for me, Embark 2 is how I make sense of my loss, and if you like, honor Joyce's memory, because it is. You know, it is how I honor her memory, and it is what gives me the confidence to move on, to move forward. So that's how partly how I deal with the loss of Joyce. And Embark 2 has allowed me to do that. And equally, you know, although we've been talking about how Embark 2 supports me, how Embark 2 supports widows and widowers, but equally the support comes the other way. Because, you know, if it wasn't for Embark 2, then how could I make sense? This is how I make sense. We all make sense of our loss in different ways. And this is something how I make sense of my loss.
That's so beautiful, John. It really is. And you're helping other people make sense of theirs is in that as well, by giving them the opportunity to grow and create these new opportunities in their lives and new experiences, because, you know, that's helping them find their way. And like you've said, it's so hard for us as human beings to understand death. You know, when somebody you love that is such an intrinsic part of your life dies, that there's no explanation for it. There's no understand. It's like, how are they here and now they're not? I don't think it's something that our human brains, as much as it's inevitable, we're all going to die and we're all going to lose someone we love. So this isn't new to us, but for our brains to make sense of that and to understand it, I don't know how capable we are of that, because even I don't know about you, John, but even for me now, you know, it's been nearly 5.5 years, and I sometimes have those moments where I go, Simon died. He's dead. That's it. He is no more. So we have to create a way, I believe, in making some sense of that, finding some meaning in that, of whatever that might look like for us. And it's different for everyone, isn't it? But kind of going, something good has to come out of this. I have to believe that they're not a reason for their death, but there's a reason for me to carry on and to find purpose and meaning in my life that fulfills me.
That in a roundabout way, Karen, is how we came up with the name Embark 2, because, you know, when you lose your partner, whether you like it or not, you are embarking on another chapter of your life. And that's how we came up with the name of Embark 2, because this is now you're embarking to a different pathway. So that sums up how we came up with the name.
And I think it's such a wonderful example that you are setting for other widows and widowers. It's that recognition that, yes, that part of your life has gone tragically, and that's so difficult for us to accommodate, I think, to understand that, but also that there is a new chapter, there is a new life that we have to create, and we have choices in that, I believe, and we can choose not to do anything. We can absolutely choose to be sad and not push ourselves and maybe not live a life or create something new because it's too painful, it's too hard. And again, that's not a criticism, it's a choice that some people make for themselves for their own reasons. But I like to show people, and I think is what you're doing here, is that there is opportunity to create something good, to still find connection and joy and love and happiness in those next chapters. And that's not to say that that's us forgetting our person or no longer loving
right.
our person.
Yes.
It's just giving ourselves permission and going, it's okay to come along and have some fun and still remember your person, but remember you as well, and discover parts of you.
That's it, because I've never liked the term moving on, I think is the term people use, but I think you can go into the future, a different future, but at the same time, taking your loved one with you. You are, you know, that you are not leaving your loved one behind. You can take your loved one with you, like I do, and that's what we hope to offer. So that sums up again our ethos, really.
It is. It's letting people know, isn't it, that, you know, creating a new life and doing things for yourself that feel good isn't taking anything away from you. It doesn't diminish your love or your loss. You bring them with you, you know.
Yes,
and that's
exactly.
it. And we talk about them, we share our stories and connect with others, and that's a beautiful thing, because our person gave us so much. We are who we are because that person was in our lives, aren't we? Ultimately, they've shaped who we've become, and as much as part of us has died with them, part of them lives on in us, and in their life and in their death. It teaches us, doesn't it? It teaches us so much about life and ourselves. And I don't know about you, but my whole outlook on life and the way I view the world is completely different now.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Completely different. And relationships have changed, and I've changed. And I fought all that for a long time. But actually, when you start to acknowledge it and accommodate it, you allow for these new possibilities and experiences and people to come into your lives. And actually, through doing those things, we're giving ourselves permission to live again. And that's a beautiful thing. And I think everything that you offer, John, is wonderful, and I am so grateful to you. I have never been on one of your holidays, but they just sound incredibly powerful and nurturing and positive, and such a safe space for people to start to embark on the next chapter of their lives, right. You know, growing through their pain and their grief, and meeting new people, and just allowing them that space to do that in, because it's not difficult, is it, when you're on your own? And well, it is difficult. It is difficult when you're on your own to find ways of exploring the world and trying out new things, because everyone else around you is still in their relationships and partnerships. Yes. So John, I think it's just incredible. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, you know, discover more about what you do, how would they do that?
They could visit our website, which is www.embark2.co.uk, or we have an email address, enquiries@embark2.co.uk, or if I can quickly give you my telephone number. We have a helpline number, which I should have had this before, Karen. Sorry.
No, don't worry. It's fine. Because if you tell me all this now, then I can put it in the notes as well, for the podcast.
Contacts.
Reach out to you.
Embark2. Yeah, we have a helpline number. There we go, which is 07498 623 819.
Brilliant.
So that's the number.
Fine. And as much as you're based in Newcastle, people from over the UK can get in touch and get involved if they want
absolutely.
To. And they have to become a member before they can. So
yes, because one of the things obviously we're very careful about is we have to ensure not just that our group is nurturing and supportive, but we have to look at the safety. So we need to ensure that anyone wanting to join the group is bona fide widower or has lost a long-term partner. So there are checks we do, and once they complete the enrollment form, we do our checks from there. And
I love that, because that protects the integrity of the group as well, doesn't it? Because
it is.
Sadly, there are people out there that will pretend to get in on these things, and which
just because our holidays are so much cheaper.
Yeah. And you're all such lovely people as well. But you've also touched on that, if you know, you talked a little bit, and we don't have to go into great detail now, but you kind of want to create space for people coming from abroad to come over to the UK and do walking holidays.
Well, this came about. I took early retirement a few years ago, but I worked on Newcastle Quayside. I also did a lot of walking along Hadrian's Wall, and because of that, I would meet groups, and it was actually when I was on lunch on Newcastle Quayside, there was a group of walkers who were doing Hadrian's Wall, and I got on chatting to them, and they came over from the US, and I know just how much they would have had to have paid for that holiday. And I thought, as a not-for-profit, I could probably do it for half the price. So yes, what I am keen on developing is walking Hadrian's Wall, say for American widows and widowers, and we would not be able to organize the flights to the UK, but we would organize the accommodation, and we would organize the guides. Now, generally the holidays, of course, when you do Hadrian's Wall, it's here's a map, off you go. But because we're not for profit, we don't charge for the guide. So we would put a guide in there, which means that anyone coming over to walk Hadrian's Wall has plenty of time to visit Housesteads and all the other Roman forts along the wall, because of course they're not spending all the time looking at the maps. And so that's what we would like to do.
Brilliant. So if anyone over in the US, that's a possibility, because that sounds like a great idea. And I don't know about you, but walking in nature has been like therapy for me. I think that's it. We do a lot of one of our holidays as well, talking about the American side. Every year we have done a holiday in Newcastle, which involves part of the Roman Wall. But we actually managed to get across to the Farne Islands, where we have the Farne Islands to ourselves for a picnic. Wow. On an evening. We can get into the lighthouse, and it's brilliant. So anyone coming across from the United States, if they didn't fancy the walking Hadrian's Wall, if they were a member, they could opt in to that and have a week in Newcastle and then go off somewhere else. And again, Karen, we have members in London. So if they were going to go off to London, I'm sure members in London, rather than pay for a guide, would be very happy to take them around London. Absolutely. Well, such great opportunities for people there, John. You really have got an absolute heart of gold. I think you should be so proud of yourself. I hope you take time to notice all the good that you're doing, and the hope that you're offering people in such a dark place in their lives. You're offering that glimmer of light, and that light grows. And I think that's a gift. It's such a gift that you give to people, John, and I'm sure Joyce would just be so incredibly proud of you, and I think you should be so proud of yourself. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me today. I've loved this conversation. Absolutely adored chatting to you. You have a lovely, kind-hearted soul, John, and I'm sure it's just wonderful coming on your holidays for sure. So thank you, Karen. Thank you, John.
Speak soon. Bye.
Bye.